We're just here to have fun and win and have fun by winning.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Mario Jerez and Matt Musso.
And a good Friday afternoon. Welcome in, Matt Musso, alongside Mario Jerez to my right. We have your early line. Alondra Villarreal and Taylor Sharp on the audio and video boards. Casey is on vacation. Glad you're here with us on this Friday, jam-packed show to send you into the weekend. Of course, the College World Series is underway. Mario, I think we actually might need to get Hunt and Hill back in here because when they were on air, A&M was getting crushed. Right as we go on air, they hit a 3-run homer to make it 8-3 in the bottom of the second. So the over has already cashed in this game, if you were curious. That was 9. That is long gone here in the bottom of the second. But A&M trails Oklahoma 8-3, 2 outs in the bottom of the second, first game in Omaha. We'll talk plenty College World Series throughout the show, keep you updated on that game, preview the other 3 that are set to go, Notre Dame, Texas tonight, and, of course, the 2 games tomorrow. We'll recap the NBA Finals. They are over. Golden State wins their 4th title. Give you a thought on that. Look at the way too early futures bets, who's going to win the finals next year, just how that all shakes out as well. So a lot to get to here today on the early line.
A lot to get to. It's the freaking weekend. Let's have some fun.
Okay. Well, it's not yet. I mean, you have 1 hour. I have 4 more hours left for the weekend.
It is essentially the freaking weekend. Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. Let's do the daily spread.
Daily spread. What are Mario and Musso watching tonight?
I'm talking about big money. Real big money.
This is our daily spread.
All right, let's start it out with some Major League Baseball. The Brewers face the Reds tonight in Cincinnati for a 5:40 Central first pitch. The total in this game set at 9.5. Your line is even. Eric Lauer for the Brewers, Hunter Green for the Reds. This line surprised me. I expected the Brewers to be the favorite here, just given their success against Hunter Green alone. And maybe they end up that way closer to game time. But for now, it's even, with both coming back minus $1.10 on the money line. Couple plays for you here. Let's start with that money line. Mentioned Eric Lauer. He's coming off his worst outing of the year for Milwaukee. 5 innings pitched. Gave up 7 hits, 8 runs, and 3 of the hits left the yard for homers. Before that, he was on fire, allowing 2 earned runs or less in 4 straight starts. This is a really nice bounce-back opportunity for him, even though that Reds lineup, they're starting to come around a little bit and play much better, especially at home. More on that in a moment. Hunter Green, on the other hand, he's coming off his best 2 starts to begin his career. But the Brewers have absolutely hammered the rookie in 2 games this year. He's 0-2 with an ERA north of 11 and has allowed 6 homers in just 8 innings pitched against the Brew Crew to start his career. Milwaukee, they might be starting to find its stroke again at the plate. In their last 2 games of their last series against the Mets, 14 runs on 22 hits. The Mets can pitch it a little bit too. Milwaukee, 9 of 11 against the Reds. That's what they've won, with an average margin of victory of 5 runs in those 9 wins. I'm going with the Brewers on the money line, minus 110. The second play for you there is the over. We obviously expect the Brewers to hit Green. They should score. We said that. The Reds should score at home too, even if Lauer has the bounce-back night. At home, Cincinnati is slugging 120 points higher than on the road. Their OPS is 201 points higher at home than on the road. They like hitting at Great American Ballpark. 18 of their 29 home games have gone over the total this season. That includes all 3 home games against these Milwaukee Brewers. This one should be no different. Let's go over 9.5, minus $1.15 in that game. So Brewers money line, minus 110, over 9.5, minus 115.
Sounds good, brother. Let's keep it in Major League Baseball here for my first play. I am looking at over 6.5 strikeouts for Carlos Rodon tonight for the Giants versus the Pirates. You can get this at minus 146 odds, 6:05 first pitch in this game. And Rodon has a very favorable matchup tonight for this strikeout prop because he comes in with a very strong strikeout rate, 30.6%. That's the second highest out of any pitcher who's playing today and the fifth highest in the entire league among qualified pitchers. Meanwhile, the Pirates come in with a strikeout rate of 24.3% against left-handed pitchers. That is the third worst in Major League Baseball. Rodon also coming off a really nice outing against the Dodgers where he pitched 6 innings, allowed just 2 hits and 3 walks with no earned runs. He went over this total in that game, and the Dodgers lineup much stronger than what the Pirates are going to bring out there. So just simple logic here, going over 6.5 strikeouts for Carlos Rodon tonight.
Former NC State Wolfpack guy there, Carlos Rodon. The White Sox, they face the Astros tonight at 7:10, and this is where we find our no runs in the first inning play today, minus $1.25. Lucas Gialito versus Framber Valdez. That's right, our old pal, Lucas Gialito. Good first inning numbers, but man, normally it always comes with a sweat, doesn't it? 8-2, no runs first inning on the year. 6-0 in the first on the road for Lucas Gialito. But there's that .250 batting average against, the 6 walks. Does have 15 Ks, and that's what's allowed him to kind of wiggle off the hook a lot in the first inning, is the ability to strike guys out. Framber Valdez for the Astros, he is 10-2, no runs first inning on the year. 46 first inning batters. He's held them to a opponent's batting average against of just 200. He has walked only 6 and allowed only 1 home run in the first inning. I'll be honest, though. The lineups are a concern here. Both have scored first inning runs in 3 of their last 5 games. You have a short porch to left field with the Crawford box and whatnot. It's concerning. But if you're scared, say you're scared. We're rolling with it. White Sox, Astros, no runs first inning, minus the $1.25.
Hell yeah. If you're scared, go to church. I'm gonna make one play here ahead of the College World Series, but this is for a game that's gonna take place tomorrow. Arkansas versus Stanford, 1 p.m. first pitch, and this isn't quite me calling the Hogs at Caesar's Palace during the NCAA tournament. But
oh God, I forgot you did that. How did you? Why? I still cannot believe you did that, Mario.
To my credit, they did win that game against Gonzaga, so not quite going there. And I don't think Arkansas is going to win the whole thing, but I do think the Hogs have really good odds at plus 100 here on the money line. And I know everybody's saying that this is a really bad draw for Arkansas, and apparently the sports books agree. You can see from those odds. And yes, Stanford has a really good team. The Cardinal have 7 starters who hit .306 or better. They also won 16 games in a row and a Pac-12 tournament to end the season before they advanced to Omaha, but they've also looked a little vulnerable lately, Musso. They lost game 2 of their regional. They lost game 1 of their super regional, and honestly, this is kind of just about fading the trees for me. In Arkansas, we know their experience. They have Connor Nolan, who's probably going to go today. He's been really good. He was on the 2019 team that made it to Omaha, and he struggled a little bit down the stretch of the regular season, but he's been really good in the postseason, and Nolan has gone at least 6 1/3 innings in his last 2 starts. They're going to need another long outing tomorrow if they're going to get this victory, and we know kind of just big picture, Arkansas has been in this spot a lot under Van Horn, the coach, and they had a little bit of a lull towards the end of this season, but I really do believe that they kind of flipped the switch here in the regional and the super regional rounds, and the top of their lineup starting to hit well. They're experienced. I like Arkansas on the money line against Stanford tomorrow.
They're a popular pick right now, not just to win that game, but to win the entire thing. So I'll have some thoughts on that game when we get to the overall preview segment at 2:30. But for now, that's our daily spread. 3 Major League Baseball picks for you there, and then Mario with a pick for tomorrow in the College World Series. Again, we'll have more College World Series talk a little bit later on. Oklahoma gets the leadoff man on to start the top of the 3rd. They lead Texas A&M 8-3 right now with a runner on first. How about Sam Burns, LSU flavor in the U.S. Open, just 2 shots off the lead. Went out there, shot 67 in the morning wave today to erase the first round 71 that he shot. So a lot of LSU local flavor there at the U.S. Open. We'll keep you posted as that continues play throughout the day as well.
Just got Sam Burns at 11-1, baby.
Hey now, there you go. Right now, we'll grab a break, come back on the other side, and put a button on basketball season in the NBA as the Warriors claimed their 4th title in 8 years last night in TD Garden as Oklahoma has a runner thrown out at second base. This is the early line. Stay here. More next. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the early line. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
The best things in summer are unofficial. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
Join 100.7 The Tiger and Our Lady of the Lake Ascension, Saturday, June 25th at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center in Gonzales.
Enjoy live music from Ted Durr, Mike Broussard and the Night Train, and Jamie Badron and the Kickin' Cajuns. Make sure you grab a delicious plate of jambalaya from the Mike Ward's Liberty Safes Jambalaya Cook-Off to raise money for the Alzheimer's services of the capital area.
The Swamp Pop Music Festival with Supreme Chevrolet.
Louisiana's country station.
100.7 The Tiger.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust.
Poor boy raised amid turn-of-the-century New Orleans, Louis Armstrong became one of the most recognizable people on earth. Visit dropbiscuit.com today and check out the trailer to our first original series, Pops, The Louis Armstrong Story, starring Reno Wilson. Subscribe today. Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, the NBA crowned a new champion last night. The Warriors have won the title. They defeat the Celtics 103-90 in Game 6 of the finals. Steph Curry goes for 34 points and was finally named Finals MVP. In the series, he averaged 31.2 points per game and shot 44.2% from the three-point line. Meanwhile, the Celtics could not get anything really going offensively last night. 34 points for Jaylen Brown, who played pretty well, but Jason Tatum had just 13 points, and he was just 6 of 18 from the field. Boston also committed 22 turnovers. They are now 0-8 these playoffs when they commit 16 turnovers or more. So basketball season now officially over with Golden State back on top. A lot of players on the Warriors getting their roses today. No more so than Steph Curry, and they very much deserve it. Champions once again.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, they were really good all year long. I mean, they were very consistent the majority of the year, and they kind of ran through the playoffs, if we're being honest. I mean, maybe they didn't have the toughest road, I guess you could say, but I don't particularly know if it would have mattered. That was a complete Warriors team. Definitely the best defensive Warriors team of the four that have won the championship under Steve Kerr. So credit to them. I know a lot of people are obviously going to look at Jason Tatum, and he's going to be the recipient of a lot of vitriol right now, but the guy was 24 years old and just helped lead your franchise back to the NBA Finals for the first time in 12 years. I mean, that is, if that doesn't tell you that the future's bright. Was he good in the Finals? No. I mean, he wasn't. There's really no way around it, and the turnovers are at the crux of that. I know I sent you that tweet last night that said he was the first player in NBA history to have 100 turnovers in the postseason.
Triple-digit turnovers is nuts.
That's just really rough, and that was the Achilles heel for Boston all postseason long. I mean, the finals, definitely, that's under a microscope, but it was the whole postseason. But, I mean, you think about Golden State going on that run in the second quarter where they eventually pulled away. Boston turned it over on 4 consecutive possessions during that run. It was very, very tough to watch the carelessness with the basketball. They were never able to adjust and protect the ball any better. And it was the undoing for them last night and the entire postseason. You said it, 0-8.
Just relentless defense from the Warriors throughout this series. I mean, the whole Boston under 100 points, 2 straight games is nuts. Maybe three straight games.
Maybe
not the best offensive team, but still an offensive team that's, gotten this far. They can score the ball, and to shut them down like that 3 times in a row is really, really impressive. And again, a lot of players deserve credit for Golden State. Klay Thompson statistically maybe wasn't good, but his presence was huge, and you could tell. He missed the last 2 years. This team isn't even in the playoffs. He comes back, and they're champions once again. Draymond Green played awful to start the series, played a lot better the last couple of games. Almost had a triple-double last night.
Yep.
Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole have been very valuable additions for Golden State too, but it all starts with Steph Curry, and it all ends with Steph Curry, honestly. I mean, I'm about to call out some names here, and then I'm going to tell you the significance of those names. Johnny Flynn, Ricky Rubio, Hasheem Thabit. All of these people were drafted before Steph Curry back in 2009. And John Morant tweeted earlier today that Steph for sure is top 5 NBA player of all time. And honestly, I would make that argument too. But that kind of thing is really subjective. I know we don't like to do that kind of thing on this show. But regardless of where you kind of rank Steph Curry, this is now his 4th ring. He's caught LeBron James. He's caught Shaquille O'Neal. He's one away from tying Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan. Regardless of what you think of Steph Curry or how good he is versus X player, you cannot deny how dominant he's been and his massive influence to the game of basketball.
No, I mean, he's been awesome. I mean, he's the best shooter, statistically, of all time, at least 3-point wise. The threes he was hitting kind of down the stretch in that game just for the hell of it, it felt like, right? And you could just feel the bounce back coming for him. And to see the emotion pour out of him at the end of that game showed you just how much that meant to him. Like that one was more important to him than the previous 3. And you could just, the moment with his dad, before the clock even expired, the moment with his dad was awesome. For him to be able to finally get Finals MVP, and that was a formality. I mean, if the Warriors won this, Steph was going to get it. That was the narrative going in that he had never done it, and it was the easy pick, but he earned it. And that's why you can kind of look past that narrative, is because Steph Curry was the best player in this series minus 1 game. Minus game 5, he struggled. The other 4, he was dominant throughout and was worthy of that honor, and he finally got it, man. That's the last piece really to his legacy. You can't now. You just anything from here on out is lagniappe. The guy's been a 2-time league MVP. He was a member of the all 75-year team, whatever they called it this year. 4 titles. You said catch LeBron. Was the heart and soul of a team that went to 6 finals in 8 years. The legacy is what it is, man. There's really just not much there's not many holes you can poke in it against Steph Curry.
Just all-time stuff from the Warriors. And he's the head of the snake, but the trio of Curry, Thompson, and yes, Draymond Green is all-time great now. They've won 21 games in the finals. That's the most out of any trio in the last 50 years. Passing up the Bulls players, passing up the Spurs players. They are up there as the best ever in terms of wins in the finals. And Klay Thompson, like I said, wasn't really good statistically, not just in the finals, but throughout these playoffs. But I'll tell you what, Klay Thompson is a very unselfish teammate. He's somebody who I'll always root for. He's somebody who has always prioritized team success over his own. And like I said, just his presence on the court, you could tell how important it was. In the last 2 years, they don't even make the playoffs when he suffers the injuries. Remember, he tore his Achilles in the final first against the Raptors. Then he comes back and he tears his ACL. Like, that's just really bad luck. And it probably would have been easy for Klay Thompson to maybe walk away. And he came back. Maybe he wasn't as effective as he was before, but it was clearly the right decision for him to come back. And now he has another championship. Little background music for Klay Thompson.
What is that? I could hear it. My laptop.
That the Drake album?
That was no, not the Drake album. No, that wasn't it. To basketball again. Now that's over. Draymond Green, Game 6. Draymond, is that a thing now, Mario? Do we need to start that?
Perhaps.
Man, 12 and 8 last night. He was even knocking down 3-pointers. When Draymond's knocking down 3-pointers, it's the Warriors' night.
Yes, they are now 20-1, I believe, these playoffs. This season, whenever he knocks down at least 1 3-pointer. So Draymond shooting threes, you're playing the Warriors. Literally, statistically, you are pretty much screwed. So it was a team effort for them. Wiggins played well the entire finals. Like I said on the show a couple of days ago, maybe like as a max player, as a number 1 option, Andrew Wiggins was not as successful as a lot of people wanted him to be, but he's found a clear home in Golden State, and he's a big reason why they won this championship.
He was massive. He's the guy who picked up the wagon and ran with it in Game 5 when Steph struggled. I mean, that's another great piece for them to just keep building. Warriors aren't going anywhere, man. They aren't going anywhere.
Unfortunately not. And the West is loaded. We were talking about this with Wyatt before the show. Like, Phoenix is going to come back. Chris Paul is a little bit older. Dallas will be a factor with Luka Doncic. The Grizzlies are going to continue to get better. The West is stacked. But right now, yes, Golden State is the class of the Western Conference. And as far as the East goes, the Celtics, I think, will be bad too. Very hard to make the finals again after you're there the first time, but they had a great season. And we need to remember where the Celtics kind of were before they made this historical run. They were 11th place in the Eastern Conference back in mid-January before the All-Star break. And remember, Udoka was a first-time head coach who kind of made some really risky adjustments there. Marcus Smart initially was coming off the bench. Then they put him in as a starting point guard, and that formula resulted in a lot of success for the Celtics. And it worked really all the way through Game 3 of the finals when they led the Warriors 2-1. But you can't forget the work that Boston did to get here, and the Celtics probably still have a really bright future as well.
Most likely. And I mean, look, I think that's a great transition to look at odds for next year's NBA Finals champion, who's going to hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. And you got 4 teams at the top tied for the best odds. One of the 2 that you just saw, the Golden State Warriors, the Boston Celtics, plus 600, 6-1. The Brooklyn Nets also at 6-1, and the LA Clippers at 6-1. Those odds via DraftKings. Clippers are very interesting. I mean, you're assuming a healthy Kawhi Leonard next year.
It's a lot to assume after the last couple of years.
I agree with you, but I mean, they were damn good this year. Once they got Paul George back, you add Kawhi Leonard back into that fold, and the Clippers do become a very dangerous team out west.
Yes, they do. And the Pelicans honestly deserve a lot of credit for making the run that they did to make the playoffs. But they were really fortunate when Paul George got COVID and he had to miss that game. And the Clippers were on a big winning streak before he was sidelined. So it does not surprise me that much to see them that far up there. The Suns, like I said, at plus 900. Yeah. They're an interesting team. Chris Paul, after his 37th birthday, was just a completely different player. Maybe because of what stage in the playoffs they were in, but he just fell off a cliff there.
He really did. It's tough to look at Chris Paul and think that the window was maybe kind of closed for him winning anything of significance. I mean, maybe not, but I mean, that was a really good shot that they had and blew this year. We mentioned the Brooklyn Nets at 6-1. Fade. maybe I'll be totally wrong, but until they actually prove that they can play together and aren't just toxic, and maybe that Ben Simmons actually gets on the floor, the Nets have no business. I don't care that Kevin Durant plays there. I don't care that Kyrie Irving plays. I don't care. They're not a good basketball team, and they have no business having those odds. They were the preseason favorite. That didn't work out before this season. Even after that, as the 7 seed, they had the second shortest odds to win the NBA Finals. They got swept in the first round. Like, fade the Nets until they absolutely prove that they're a team worthy of these odds. That's crazy.
That's not a good situation there at all. And I praise Kevin Durant a little bit because I thought he had better body language than LeBron James did this past season when the Nets were kind of going through some stuff. But it is like Britney Spears level of toxic over there. And yeah, I know the Cavaliers maybe had similar kind of environments when they had LeBron James and were able to go to a couple of finals, but Kevin Durant, not LeBron James. And like I told you before the show, I think Steve Nash will eventually be a good NBA coach, but that's not a good situation at all in Brooklyn. I would fade them. The New Orleans Pelicans way down the board. I know you see them move, so at plus 4,000, those odds will be interesting too. The Pelicans, I know they're getting a lot of hype going into next year, but I do want to slow it down a little bit. Like I said, the West is still really, really loaded, and they do have to kind of ingrain Zion Williamson into the
speed ahead for the Pellies. That really is, though. All seriousness, that is really good value on a team that could make a lot of noise. The Dallas Mavericks at 15-1 isn't bad either, and the Lakers obviously at 20-1. I know we have a lot of fun at the Lakers' expense on this show, but I mean, it's still LeBron James, it's still Anthony Davis, and the Ty Lue's are really. They're getting a new head coach. So
Darwin Ham.
Darwin Ham. Thank you.
Lunch meat.
The Lakers 20-1 is solid value. You're not going to get that type of value on LeBron James very often.
Basketball season officially over. Very eventful basketball season. Vote on today's Citizens Bank poll of the day over on the 104.5 ESPN Twitter account. What was your favorite memory from this basketball season? Let us know. We will recap that at the end of the show, and we will take a break. Be right back with more Early Line right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Lusso. 104.5 ESPN. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
People call me an Uncle Tom. I play music. Been wined and dined by royalty. Trying to bring people together. All people. But regardless of all that kind of stuff, I'm still Louis Armstrong.
Here's the man you're waiting for, the king of jazz, Louis Satchmo Armstrong.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more.
Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but two NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
Visit Acura of Baton Rouge for attractive offers on the MDX.
Jimmy Ott, Charles Hannegriff, and Roscoe live for Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers at Rouge Creole in Perkins Road. Looking at the first weekend of College World Series and all kinds of other stuff as well. We'll talk some football as well. Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday from Rouge on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, back here on the early line, we have reached the top of the fourth inning in game number 1 in Omaha. Oklahoma continues to lead Texas A&M 8-3 in that one. A one-run first for the Sooners, a 7-run second, all 7 runs with 2 outs, put them up 8-0. A&M would respond in the bottom of the second inning with a 3-run homer. Scoreless third all the way around, and that's where you sit at 8-3 Oklahoma in game number 1. The over in that game has already cashed. Brian Haldane just came in here in the break and mentioned that now the live total is at 19.5 in that game. It was at 9, I believe. It was either 9 or 10. It closed at. Either way, they've gone over that now at 11 runs where they sit. But that's where you stand right now in game number 1 of the College World Series. Game number 2 will be tonight at 6 p.m. Central between the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the number 9 national seed Texas Longhorns. Texas, the 6-time national champions, are minus $1.48 on the money line as it sits. The total in that one is set at 9.5. This is going to be a really interesting matchup between Notre Dame and Texas. John Michael Bertrand on the bump for the Irish. Ace Pete Hansen on the bump for the Longhorns.
Yeah, I know the pitching for Texas kind of underwhelmed a little bit here recently, but they've been good most of the season, and we know what Texas's lineup is about and why they're a big favorite here. I mean, you have the Hispanic Titanic, Ivan Melendez, with 32 home runs, Golden Spike finalist, and they also have Douglas Hodo and Skylar Messenger as well, who are both batting over 300. So this Texas lineup is deadly, and their pitching, although recently hasn't been as good, has been for the most part pretty consistent, pretty solid this season. So I can see why a lot of people are very high on the Longhorns.
Murphy Staley, who hits behind Ivan Melendez, is also a stud, second-team All-American. You mentioned Melendez being a Golden Spikes finalist. He took home his first Player of the Year award today, the Dick Hauser Trophy, for National Player of the Year. I mean, the guy's he's going to win the Golden Spikes. He should. He's hitting 400 and has 32 home runs. Like, he's a freak. And again, not the typical maybe Texas club you're used to seeing, especially offensively. It's more offensive than normal. Like, Texas plays in a big ballpark, and especially under Augie Garrido, there's a lot of small ball played there. They set up school record with 128 home runs this year. Again, obviously, Ivan Melendez helps a lot with that, but Murphy Staley, like we mentioned, right behind him, Silas Ardoin is another guy, a Moss Bluff, Louisiana native there, their catcher, who's got double-digit home runs. So it's a very offensive Texas club. This is going to be an extremely interesting matchup with Notre Dame's pitching, because we've talked about Bertrand a lot this year on the show. He's Notre Dame's ace. He was one of the best pitchers in the ACC, led the ACC in earned run average, led the ACC in innings pitched, was top 3 in strikeouts, was top 3 as well in I thought I had it written down here and I lost it. There it is. In wins as well.
Pretty important.
Pretty important. He won't be intimidated by Texas's offense. Not after facing Tennessee, not after going through a very offensive league that the ACC was this year. So it's going to be, and it's not just him. I mean, there's depth there. Jack Finley is a hoss out of the pen for Notre Dame. A freshman closed out the final game against the Volunteers. So, I mean, it is a freshman lefty. It is very, very deep, the Notre Dame pitching staff. It's one reason we've been riding them through the Statesboro Regional, through the Knoxville Super Regional, and now here into Omaha. It's just a deep veteran staff. I mean, John Michael Bertrand's in his 5th year. Like, this guy's played a lot of college baseball. So he might not have the Omaha experience, which will be something to watch for Notre Dame. I expect some growing pains probably from them, but I think a lot of it will be offensively for Notre Dame there, especially against Pete Hansen.
Yeah, and their hitting, really came up big against Tennessee, who was going to be maybe the most explosive lineup coming into Omaha. But now I think that title goes to Texas. And on that same token, Texas is going to go with Pete Hansen likely today, who, like I said a little bit a while ago, was a little uncharacteristic in the Super Regional. But for the most part this season, he's been solid, 11-2 record, 3.40 ERA. And I'm curious to see if he can bounce back after that outing in the Super Regional.
Yeah, man, he's got really good stuff. So got to see him in Houston when we were there for the Shriners, and got to see him against Tennessee, and he carved up that Tennessee lineup and got the win that night. The fastball plays into the 90s. So, I mean, it's Pete Hansen's a really good arm, really good prospect, and it'll be tough for Notre Dame's offense. And they're not playing in that Little League park in Knoxville this weekend. I mean, they're playing at Charles Schwab, and it's while the ball looks like it's jumping out of there right now, and the ball is absolutely juiced this year in college baseball, there's no doubt about that. So you might see a few more home runs in Omaha this year, and some more runs in general. But that's going to be something to watch. Behringer is a real major league prospect for Notre Dame in the lineup. So they won't be intimidated. They won't be outmatched. This is an experienced and a hungry team, and they're going to fight tooth and nail. That's going to be a very interesting game. From a betting standpoint, it is a stay away spot for me because I have the ticket on Notre Dame, and that's all I really need. I'm not obviously not going to bet against them, so I have a 30-1 ticket. No reason to double up on them yet. That's just a stay away spot for me right now.
Smart man, as you should do.
All right, Mario, let's talk Arkansas Stanford. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier. You have a ticket on Arkansas here, even money on the money line to beat Stanford. This is the toughest of the 4 games for me to pick a side on right now. Let's talk about why. So Stanford's your favorite, minus 129. Arkansas at even money, 10.5 your total, 1 p.m. Central on Saturday. Connor Nolan will go for Arkansas. Dave Van Horn said that yesterday at Media Day, that Connor Nolan will be our starter. I think that was the direct quote. Alex Williams, Stanford's ace. He should be on the mound as well. Has not pitched since the winner's bracket game Saturday the first game of the Super Regional on Saturday. I'll be interested to see which Connor Nolan shows up for Arkansas. Down the stretch of the regular season, he was bad. There's just no real other way to put it. He gave up 5 earned runs in 5 consecutive starts. 5 earned runs each. He was not good. Here in the postseason, in 2 starts, he's been phenomenal. 13 2/3 innings, 12 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, and 10 strikeouts. He's been really, really good there. On the flip side, Alex Williams for Stanford has struggled so far in the postseason. His 2 starts, 6 innings pitched, 12 hits, 12 runs, 11 earned, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. Both guys have pitched in Omaha, so the stage shouldn't be too big. Another reason it's so tough for me is these teams are kind of similar in the way that they're both really talented, but it feels like they both just have not played their best baseball of the year. Maybe Arkansas is doing that right now, but even when they haven't been, they've won in spite of that. Arkansas won 18 games in the SEC. Stanford struggled through their regional, but managed to get out of it. They struggled through the Super Regional and managed to get out of it without playing their best baseball. They keep winning in spite of it. That makes things tough as well. So much of this one depends on the pitching because you have 2 aces with up and down seasons coming in on opposite ends of the spectrum. Then there's the offenses. And like Texas, Stanford's a club that maybe not who you're really used to seeing, right? From the West Coast. A lot of power. Bowser, Montgomery, Jones, they can all swing it. They're deep on the mound. Closer Quinn Matthews, major reason they had the success in the Super Regional. Alex Williams, while the postseason hasn't been good, the guy threw 2 complete games this year. He's an ace in every sense of the word. Arkansas, offense has picked up in the postseason. We know how good they are on defense. This is just a really, really tough game to pick a side on. It's virtually a coin flip.
Yeah, I could see why it would be tough, but I just feel like Arkansas has the momentum right now. I mean, that North Carolina team that they beat was playing so well, and I've seen enough of Stanford to just kind of not trust them. I know that their hitting is really good. We mentioned the 7 starters that are batting over 300, and their pitching throughout the season maybe has been good too, but you just mentioned the stats there for Williams, and that was against UConn and against Texas State. I think Arkansas maybe has a better lineup than those guys, so we'll see what happens. But Stanford, like I said in the first segment, has just looked a little bit vulnerable as of late.
So I hear you on the trust thing, but they haven't given you a reason to not trust. They still win.
They're
still winning. Yeah. That's the issue. Like, no, they're not playing their best baseball, but they're winning in spite of it. So, like, I get where you're coming from with that, but I don't know. I'm surprised this game isn't closer on the odds. For Stanford to be minus $1.30, I figured this would be close to a pick 'em, minus grand slam. And Oklahoma, grand slam with one out in the top of the 4th. They now lead A&M 12-3. Back to Arkansas, Stanford. Sorry. I looked up at the TV. ADHD moment. My apologies.
All good. Grand slam in Omaha. Acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement. It's just, I thought this would be kind of like, maybe a coin flip at both teams minus $1.10, but it's not. And Stanford's getting a bulk of it. Maybe they're a little bit deeper on the mound than Arkansas. I can understand that. They were in Omaha last year. I can't give you a pick on this because I haven't made one. I'm still very, very much on the fence.
Fair enough. I just like the odds on Arkansas. Like you said, I did not expect them to be that much of underdogs, but I just think that's a pretty good price for the Razorbacks, who have been playing really well and who came back from the dead against North Carolina. I thought their season was going to end, but here they are.
You should always get the first out in the 9th inning. When you take a lead, always get the first out in the 9th inning, because if you don't, you're probably not going to win the game. That's exactly what happened to North Carolina in that final game. All right, real quick here, because we are due for a break. Ole Miss and Auburn, 6 p.m. Central Saturday night. The Rebs minus $1.50 on the money line, total at 9.5. Dylan DeLucia is going to go for Ole Miss. I assume Trace Bright is going to go for Auburn. Their rotation is set up for that. Ole Miss should win this game. They should do it very comfortably. I'll be interested to see how both teams handle the bright lights of Omaha, obviously. But Ole Miss has the advantage on the mound from starter to bullpen. Dylan DeLucia has been phenomenal in that Game 1 role since they moved him there midway through the SEC slate. Trace Bright is an okay SEC arm. Like, he's a nice SEC arm. He is not a number 1, which is what Auburn has had to ask him to do. The fastball is going to be in the high 80s to low 90s. He might rear back and hit 95, 96 a couple times, but he's not going to sit there. It's just a nice SEC arm. Ole Miss won this series back to open SEC play. They did it by scoring 33 runs. Again, interesting to note, Ole Miss, they do like to hit home runs. They swing for the fence a lot. This ballpark's interesting, but there's been at least 3 home runs in this ball game today, A&M and Oklahoma. The ball is going to fly in Omaha this year. It just will. And even if it doesn't for Ole Miss, I think their pitching's enough that it can carry them with the way it's going right now, with DeLucia and Elliott at the front, and Johnson in the bullpen, as well as Mallets and Gaddis and guys like that. I think Ole Miss should win this game against Auburn comfortably. I might even look at the run line maybe. I like the Rebs in this one big, and I just have no desire to see Ole Miss win a national championship. I have no desire to see any SEC team win a national championship outside of LSU, but Ole Miss would be a tough one for LSU right now.
Way to be objective on the pick, brother. I am with you. I am also curious to see how both of these inexperienced teams kind of handle this stage, but Ole Miss from top to bottom, just a better team. And the Rebels, unfortunately, like you said, kind of had the juice right now. So I'm joining you on that pick. Hotty toddy, Ole Miss over Auburn.
I'm not going to say that, but the Rebs should win. I'll leave it at that.
Or howdy dowdy, as my mother says.
You're out here saying hotty toddy. You were calling the Hogs in Vegas. And Mario, we really got to talk about this.
Okay, we can have an intervention over the break.
We're going to have to. We're going to have to do that. We'll take our final break, come back, close out the week here on Early Line. Mario and Musso with you on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Friday edition of Hunt and Hill. Luke Johnson from Saints Minicamp. We'll take one more look at the College World Series and U.S. Open updates. Join us Friday noon to 2. It's Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Well, Musso, we have made it to the end of the week. I know you still got Moscona show coming up, but it is Friday afternoon, and unfortunately, we have made it to the end of the basketball season as well. Not going to see any basketball for the next few months. So I wanted to reminisce a little bit and ask you, anybody in the room, if they want to contribute to the conversation, what was your favorite basketball memory from the past year? And when I think of basketball memories from the last 3, at least for me, 3 instances come to mind. That's North Carolina defeating Duke in the Final Four in the Superdome. I got to go to that game and watch it live. That was epic. Then St. Peter's upsetting Kentucky in the first round of the tournament, then making the run all the way to the Elite Eight. And then another fond basketball memory I have from the NBA was the Pelicans starting the season 3-16, but still rallying to make the play-in game, then winning both the play-in games to advance to the playoffs and giving the Suns a pretty good run for their money. So out of those 3, I would probably go with St. Peter's just because of the betting implications there and because of how magical that was. And like I told, as you know, I was in Las Vegas for the Sweet 16 round and for the Elite 8 round. So I put money down live on St. Peter's in the casinos in Las Vegas, got to see them win, got to see the reaction. All of that was really cool. So it's been a fun season, but for me, my favorite memory will be the run made by the St. Peter's Peacocks.
Yeah, man, I kind of just March Madness as a whole for me. This was a really good NCAA tournament this year. If we're talking, basketball season as a whole, NBA and college, it was just really good. And the North Carolina beating Duke was awesome to see. That was just betting implications for me there as well that made that even better. But the Pellies were, I told you like 2 weeks ago, I was like, man, I miss the New Orleans Pelicans right now. Like it's going to be a fun team, and they're not done, man. Got the draft coming up here next Thursday. We'll see what they do with number 8 and the subsequent 2 second-round picks as well. But it's a fun time to be a basketball fan in Louisiana. So, I guess the homer in me has to say Pelicans making the playoff run, but I really did enjoy March Madness. We cleaned up there.
Yes, we did. You think I'm missing?
Good basketball season.
It was, pro and college. Like I said, I think kind of the demise of the Lakers, for those of us that are anti-LA, was really fun to watch. And a lot of that came at the expense of the Pelicans, who since they made the trade for Anthony Davis coming into this season, they hadn't even beat the Lakers once. And this year they swept them, not only to pass them up in the standings, but to earn that top 10 draft pick as well. So a little bit of insult on top of the injury. So I enjoyed watching their demise, and I'm trying to think if I'm missing any basketball memories here.
There was a lot of fun during LSU's run this year, but
yeah, Xavier Pinson, reverse dunk, Kentucky.
There you go. That was beating Kentucky was great. That whole stretch there, just in January, where they had Kentucky coming in and Tennessee coming in, and they were able to win those games. That was a lot of fun. But again, I'm gonna probably pick that over everything, so we'll just leave that out for objectivity reasons.
Not a good day for people named McMahon today for other reasons not related to this show, but I think Matt McMahon has gotten off to a really good start as head coach of LSU in his tenure here. LSU not eligible for the postseason this year, likely with the sanctions that are going to come, but this team started literally with 0 scholarship players. Then they got Adam Miller to come back. Then you've added some key players from the Murray State team that was coached by McMahon, and it looks like slowly but surely LSU is going to be back here eventually. And we saw a little bit of what they were capable of early in the Will Wade era, and it showed that LSU basketball can succeed. And maybe you have to be patient here if you're a Tigers fan, but Matt McMahon's showing that maybe eventually he can get there. He's gotten off to a really good start.
They've gotten off to a great start. Again, like you said, you'll wait and see what sanctions come down or whatnot, but that'll really determine what this season is about for LSU. But it's you feel a lot better about the team now than you did, in the days and weeks after Will Wade was fired. So, he's turned it around enough. It's kind of like the offseason the baseball team had in Jay Johnson's after you hired him. It was, there was a lot to be excited about just with guys you got out of the transfer portal or guys who decided you re-recruited and came back to the team. Then, you sign that recruiting class, things of that nature. That kind of has the same feeling for basketball. You feel like, okay, they're not, because Will built it up, and you're like, oh, you don't want to see it fall down, but I don't think they will.
That'll pretty much do it for us. Hope everybody has a good Father's Day weekend. AFR, Matt Moscona, coming up next.